Okay, someone showed me this resource for free sample packs called soundpacks.com, and you can download them and just drag them into KitMaker and have a ton of free kits just made for you automatically. But I was thinking this is also a good way to show how KitMaker works and explain some of the features using these as examples. And if you see this video in the future and these aren't available or this website's not around or whatever, this video goes over a bunch of just stuff about how KitMaker works and options and stuff, so it will still apply to other drum packs. There's a lot of packs on here, but I just typed in boom bap because that's the kind of stuff I like. I'll put the link in the description. I don't have affiliation with this place, but I'll put the link in the description. So you just click on it. You have to ignore a lot of these download buttons and go to this red one and then click this MediaFire download button. So I've already downloaded Ultimate, NYC, Crate Digger, Ninth Wonder, and I've already got them downloaded right here. So I've already downloaded and unzipped these. Like I said, you could just drag them in, set your format, make your kits, and you'll already have your kits just right away. And whenever you make kits with the MPC format, they'll be created inside this KitMaker Kits folder on the desktop. And that's all there is to it. They'll create these kits for MPC, Ableton, Beatmaker, all this stuff. I like turning my sample packs into kits because it's just so much easier, much more fun to just get started playing on some kits. And I should say that these are one-shot samples. They're not loops or anything. These are the type of samples that will go in a kit. Just single. So just individual drum samples or short samples of any kind, rather than long breakbeat samples or something. So this Ninth Wonder is probably my favorite sounding one. You can see it's organized with different categories of drums, shakers, snares, claps, kicks. I'm gonna drag in this. You could drag in the main one with all the underscores and stuff, but it's gonna name the kits after the folder you drag in. This one's named very cleanly. I'm gonna make sure it's on sample pack mode. Machine mode is for importing machine expansions, make those into kits, but we'll do sample pack mode. I'll have this on MPC and I'll make the format also for Ableton Live and process it. And now I've got some kits that I can use on the MPC. You can put these on your MPC hardware with the SD card, or you can put them on the Beats app or the MPC software. And I can open them in Ableton. These are the kits that it made. For this video, I'm just going to show off the kits mainly in Ableton just because it's very easy to load them and show them on the screen. But everything I'm going over works for MPC, all the other formats. It's going to be all the exact same information that applies. And I'm going to just keep it simple. You can have multiple banks for kits in Ableton and MPC. I'm just going to leave it at one for now. So how it works is KitMaker looks for keywords. See these? The sample pack that I showed you. Most sample packs are organized by little subfolders of the different drum types, and KitMaker will know how to search for these and put them on the right pad. So the kicks are going to end up on this first pad, the snares, closed hi-hat. You can see that down here, kick, snare, hi-hat. You can even change these around, save a custom layout. I'm just going to leave it at the classic for now. The classic layout is just the pretty standard MPC machine type layout that most people are used to. So you might notice that in addition to these kicks and snares and stuff, there's some other categories in the KitMaker pads like melodic and miscellaneous. If you look at these pads, they're not melodic. They're percussion, kicks, snares, different stuff. That's because Kitmaker can only work with the samples of the sample pack that you give it. So if there's not melodic, or if there's not percussion, or if there's something missing, it will fill that pad with one of the available samples. So in this case, it looks like it filled those top with some kind of percussion sounds that it found. Okay, I'm gonna go and show a different pack. I'm gonna do this NYC one and grab the folder that's named cleanly. So this pack does have some melodic and miscellaneous samples. Chops is actually going to be categorized as melodic. Oftentimes a pack will have different like chopped up jazz or soul samples. If there was a folder called guitar or trumpet or keys, that all would be categorized as melodic and be put on the melodic pads. Extras is a word that is not a keyword in Kitmaker, so that's going to be anything that doesn't have a keyword is going to just be categorized as miscellaneous. So I'm going to go ahead and process this, make some kits. Done. Go into my Ableton. Here it is. Also, if you don't see a kit pack show up right away in Ableton, it might be loading in your places. It might already be on your computer, but just loading up. So like I said, this top row will be melodic stuff by default, and if it doesn't find melodic stuff, it will fill it with miscellaneous samples. This is similar to a lot of MPC and machine kits because the bottom pads often have more of your kicks and snares and hi-hats main stuff. The top often has kind of extra stuff, and you can reorganize that if you want. Now if we go to the preferences and edit keywords, you can also just go to the edit keywords in the menu. You can see exactly what keywords it's looking for. So it's figured out all those different drum categories by finding these names in the subfolders, which is how it knows to put each sample on which pad. You can also edit the keywords, remove some, add some, customize it. And if you want to know how Kitmaker just processed your sample back, you can go to Help, Show Log Files, open that main.log file, scroll to the very bottom because it goes in order, so the latest thing you did will be at the bottom. And we can see here sorting samples for the NYC drum kit. So it will show the keywords, how many samples it found, and then which samples it found. So these are the same keywords here. And so it found this keyword, kick folder, then it found these samples inside. Then for the snares, it found this many samples. Here's the samples that it found. It does that for every category of drum sound. And I'm going to make this a bit easier to read in the future, but you can see how it works pretty clearly. It says the keywords, then shows what it found, and that'll match what your sample pack had. So I've already added basically every keyword that sample packs typically use, so you shouldn't need to mess with this. If you notice a keyword that I missed, an important different word for snares or something, if you do notice a keyword that's often used in sample packs for a kick or snare or something and I missed it, you can add it yourself. You can also message me on the help page on the website, and that way I can add it to the default keyword list in an update. Also, if you update the app, you might want to hit this reset keywords button. That sets it back to the default keywords, and I might have added some over time. Also, exclusion keywords. So any keywords in here, if it finds a folder full of these, it's going to skip them automatically. That's because you usually don't want a super long stem or a construction melody or a long breakbeat just get triggered in the middle of you playing your drum kit sounds. But if you do want that for some reason, you can always delete these, edit these, or whatever. So I'm going to close this out. So this next pack is kind of interesting because it's basically a total mess with no organizations, doesn't have folders, doesn't have anything. It looks pretty crazy, but let's try it out. So Kitmaker first checks to see if there's at least 3 categorized subfolders. So kind of like these folders. And if there's not, it's going to look at all the file names inside, which is what this is telling me right here. I was originally thinking that this wouldn't even be a usable pack, but it turned out to actually work surprisingly well. So you can see it actually found the kick, snare, hi-hat, open hi-hat, melodic. And that's because if you look closely, it actually does have some keywords inside of it, like snare, 808, kick, and it was able to sort them all out. So let's look at the other pack, this Ultimate Boom Bap pack. And if you look inside, you can find some really long, weird samples. Both of those just go on for a really long time. And most people don't want to accidentally hit a pad and then just have this crazy thing go on forever. So that's why we have this large file filter. So it's already on by default, and it skips any file over 2 megabytes, which helps it prevent some of these crazy long sounds from getting through. So that, combined with the exclusion keywords, keep out long loops, breakbeats, super long weird sounds. Okay, let's do another example. Let's say you had a very minimal pack that had just kicks, snares, and hats. I'll make an example pack using these Ninth Wonder sounds. So making kind of a fake little drum pack here. And in here the hats have H on the file name, kicks have K, snares SNRs. So it's going to look for keywords in the folder names, but we'll just remember that's what those samples are called. And I should say, each time I'm making these kits, it's making MPC kits also. Those are just on this desktop folder, but I'm just showing you the Ableton ones. So let's find that minimal. So as I mentioned before, if it runs out, so it's K, snare, hat, you can see that 8 is a hat, has that H we saw, the way they name their file names. And in KitMaker, that's supposed to be a percussion, but we only have hats, kicks, and snares in this, so we're not going to have percussion, we're not going to have melodic sounds. As I said, if KitMaker doesn't find these other sample types, it will just use what's available in the pack. And that makes it really flexible, so you can use packs that are missing different sample types and it will still make a bunch of kits for you. But there's an option to turn that off. So this fill all 16 pads, and it explains if you have it on, it will fill up those missing pads with what it has, and if it's off, it will end up with some blank pads. So I'm going to close, save this preference. Let's turn off this MPC one. And if you reprocess the exact same pack again for Ableton, it's good to delete all the old files, all the old samples before you run it again. So I just skipped through that part. So now let's try out the kit with the fill all pads option off. So you can see all those categories that it couldn't find samples for, it's not filling all of them with what's available, it's just leaving them blank. So this is good for if you're not wanting to consolidate all the samples into the smallest amount of kits. Maybe you want even more kits, but they just have these main samples. So for instance, you might just be using those main drum sounds and have a beat. And you might want as many options as possible, and you don't really care about those other pads being filled. So that's just an option. I think most people probably want all the pads filled, but that's just getting more into how you can customize things and do it certain ways that work for you. So let's go back to that crate digger one that was kind of chaotic. And this time I'm going to change it to numbered files format. And that's going to show up in KitMaker kits. Basically everything is going to show up in KitMaker kits except for the Ableton, which automatically installs in your user library. So this numbered files format makes all the kits, but it makes them in kit folders, basically. So they're numbered in the same order as the layout. So kick, snare, hi-hat, open hi-hat. The last ones are going to be melodic. So the main reason behind this feature is you can use these files in a lot more DAWs that I can't otherwise make presets for. So Machine Kit's format's normally encrypted, so I can't make a preset for it, but I can just throw that in there. I'm dragging the contents of a kit to the first pad, and that immediately populates the entire kit in the right order. So you've got your kick, snare, hi-hat, open hi-hat, the melodic sounds at the top. You can replace it with a different kit. Now we've got a different kit in the right order. The app actually shows you a lot of the formats it works in. If you go to the website, you can go to numbered files. You can see examples of all the DAWs you can add files to and have the kits automatically fill up all these different kit formatly just by dragging and dropping. But the reason I'm showing you this right now is because you can also use this to test out a sample pack. So we did not know how this crazy pack was going to come out. And you might not want to make a whole bunch of MPC kits, have to transfer them to your MPC on the SD card, then find out, oh, they're not coming out right, or I wasn't sure how it was going to work. You can just use this numbered files format. You can see exactly how they're going to come out. So whatever they're like in here, that's how they're going to come out in the MPC, Ableton, but you just immediately see each kit. And I can see that the kick is on the kick, the snare is on the snare, all this melodic stuff is at the top. So that's just a good trick for testing things out if you're unsure of a pack, or if you're changing a bunch of settings and you want to see how it's going to come out and you want to experiment. And if you want to get even farther into customization, learn about some of this stuff, I've got a customizing kits article on the website that you can actually get to just by clicking that. I'll also put it in the description. But this gets even deeper into ways of customizing things. So now let's talk a little bit about packs that don't work. And I'll pull up this article from the website. So sometimes I'll hear from a user and they say the app isn't working, and then it turns out that they were putting in a bunch of breakbeats or a bunch of loops. If you put that in, it's going to say that everything was filtered out because we've got those excluded keyword filters and the large file filters, and we're not trying to put a bunch of loops in the kits. Unless you want to edit things, then you can do whatever you want, but by default none of that's going to work. KitMaker is for one-shot samples, so sounds that would be on drum pads, like these ones that we've showed you, even if they're not particularly organized. The one-shot drum samples or melodic samples, that Dreamy Soul pack, I could actually put that in KitMaker and it would make a bunch of presets that could be useful to load up just of chords and things. But the point is that it should be one-shots, not these long loop sounds. And another thing is sometimes people tell me that they tried it and it didn't work, and then it turns out they put in a folder that had 20 samples drum kits have 16 samples, so you're going to get like 1.2 kits out of that. It's not going to really be helpful. It's helpful for sample packs that have a large amount of samples that you can get a large amount of kits out of. So these free packs that I showed you, those are great examples of packs with a lot of sounds. Most professional drum packs are going to have a lot of sounds if they're not focused on loops. I do plan on adding a feature where if you did have, say, like 5 drum packs of lo-fi drum sounds and each one only had like 30 sounds or whatever, they're really small, I want to add an option where you can combine several sample packs into one collection of kits. So in that example, you could have a bunch of these small lo-fi packs, but then you would have a actual large amount of kits that all use these lo-fi samples. So that's not available currently, but I'm on the topic and I want to add that. So that will probably be in version 2.4 when I release that. And also you can go to kit-maker.com/beta and see if there's any beta versions to try out new features. But in the meantime, use sample packs that have a bunch of samples. If there's just a few samples, it's not going to be enough to make a bunch of kits. Another thing is if the creators of the packs mislabel things. So I think there was a Wu-Tang pack or something, and it had a folder called like percussion, but it mainly had a ton of hi-hats in there. So if you process that in KitMaker and it's literally labeled percussion or it's literally labeled something totally different, it's going to take its word for it and it's going to categorize those hi-hats as percussion because that's what the pack named them. And if something looks like it's poorly organized, you don't know how it's going to come out, you can use that numbered files test to just see how it's going to work. Or you can look at that log file and see, oh, these samples were being sorted as kicks because these were being sorted as snares, but I wanted them to be something else. This is where you can easily figure out how everything's being sorted. And if you have an issue with one of your sample packs, this type of troubleshooting will go a long way. And it's also super useful if you message me and you say something's not working as you expected. This type of information is super useful, so I understand what you're talking about. I'm also going to make a video on how to process splice packs like this one, which you literally just drop it in and you've got your kits, but that's mainly going to be about how to find them on your computer, which is tricky. Otherwise, it's just drag and drop. And I want to make another video on how to bundle a pack of kits into an MPC expansion. So if you wanted to basically make your own little expansion with the artwork and have all these kits that KitMaker made for you and have that artwork bundled on your MPC, I'll put links to those videos in the description as I create them. And of course, you can already just put these folders of kits on your MPC as is, and you can load up any of these kits. So that would just be kind of an extra bonus thing if you wanted to make it fancier to show it with the artwork. Also check out my other app, Preset Maker. It turns multi-sample files into presets for various DAWs. It also takes melodic one-shot samples and groups them into presets, like a preset of guitars or of synths. Turn your melodic sample packs into ready-to-load presets. For more info, watch my Preset Maker video or visit the website.